Hey guys, it's Sparkle here. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be giving you guys 10 tips for character designing. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be turning a Christmas tree, gingerbread cookie, and reindeer into humans. So let's get straight to it. By the way, these are just tips that have personally helped me out in the past, and I hope they might help you out as well. And without any further ado, let's just jump straight into this. So the first tip I want to tell you guys is to make sure you have a theme before you start designing your character, because I mean, on one hand, of course, you can just go ahead and design your character and make something absolutely amazing. But for me, I have personally found that having a theme really just helps me to kind of determine which direction I'll be heading in. Like for example, for this drawing, the theme was Christmas, and in specific, for the first drawing that I'm working on, the theme was Christmas tree. So I was trying to design a human based off a Christmas tree, and because I knew my theme and because I knew it was Christmas, I was kind of able to incorporate like kind of festive elements, like for example the star that goes on top of a Christmas tree, and just like a fluffy headband to kind of represent the tinsel and everything. So that's pretty much what I mean by that. Or having a theme could even just be as simple as something like flowers or rainbows. But yeah, having a theme really helps because it just helps you set that sense of direction and just kind of guides you with your drawing. And with that, tip number 2 is to brainstorm. Now when I say brainstorm, I pretty much mean just get all the ideas in your head on paper. And this kind of connects with tip 1 as well, because if you have a set theme, you can just like doodle a bunch of random things connected to that theme, and then you can try and incorporate them into your final illustration. And when you're brainstorming, it doesn't have to be like on paper. You can also just like brainstorm mentally in your head, which is what I did. And that pretty much just helped me to figure out what I wanted my character to have. So for example, when you think of like gingerbread cookies, you would typically think of the color brown, and you would think of like white icing on top. And I pretty much just did a mental brainstorm of other elements, and then I kind of tried to incorporate all those elements into my final character design when I was designing the character inspired by gingerbread cookies. I hope that kind of made sense. But yeah, brainstorming definitely helps. Next up, tip number 3 is to focus on the personality of the character you're drawing. And personality can be reflected through the character's expression and through their pose. So when you're focusing on the personality, make sure you try and connect it to how you want your character to be. For example, with gingerbread cookies, right? I generally think of the gingerbread man and how he tried to run away, like if you guys read that story before. And that's why I decided to reflect it with the second character I drew by giving her a kind of athletic outfit and athletic hairdo, and even just like the kind of expression. I gave her like a really like cheeky expression instead of just something really calm, like for example the Christmas tree and the reindeer. And just trying to reflect your character's personality through their expression and pose is just a really great way to kind of like tell a story to someone who's looking at your art for the first time. And tip number 4 is to be really careful with the colors you pick, because the color palette you choose can actually have a really like major effect on how your character is perceived by others. For example, for the reindeer character I was drawing, I decided to pick green and red along with a lot of brown colors, and that kind of just helped me to convey that I was drawing a reindeer, like in case it wasn't already obvious. But it just also like adds to that vibe, and it just kind of connects your character back to your theme, and it just makes the entire illustration just look a little bit more wholesome and cohesive. And also coloring is just so much fun, so why would you want to miss the opportunity? And another example of this would, for example, be if you're designing a character based off a galaxy theme, then you could possibly use some colors like blue, purple, and pink in your drawing. And you know, that'll just like make sure that your drawing kind of just connects back to your theme, and it's easier for others to tell what they're looking at. And tip number 5 is to make sure you focus on the types of shapes you're using, because in the end, these shapes can become really representative of your theme, and they can just make your drawing just connect back to your theme more and just look a little bit more better. So what I mean by this is it doesn't matter if you're just drawing humans and designing outfits like I'm doing here, or if you're designing a completely new species of animals or aliens or whatever it is, using shapes does help, because like for example with the first drawing I made here, I decided to draw a girl inspired by a Christmas tree, and Christmas trees generally spark the idea of triangular shapes. So I decided to make her dress like kind of triangular at the bottom to kind of represent how a Christmas tree would look. And that's pretty much what I mean by try and incorporate shapes. And of course, like I said, if you're designing a completely new species, you can make your entire character a completely new shape. And yeah, it's completely up to you because you are the one in charge here. Moving on, tip number 6 is to focus on uniqueness. Now, you can just go ahead and draw a character, but you have to think about what's going to make your character unique from other characters, for example. And just like really focus on trying to add at least one element that will kind of differentiate your character from other characters that people might have designed already. And like for example, in my case, I decided to draw a gingerbread cookie as a girl instead of a guy, because generally people draw the gingerbread man as a guy, but I decided to go with a girl because I wanted to be different. And even with the Christmas outfit I was drawing, people generally like to make the hair green and make the outfit brown because that's the order of a Christmas tree, with green on top and brown on the bottom for the tree and the log. But I decided to switch it up and do it differently. And even with the reindeer guy, I decided to add lights just because I wanted to make it unique and different and special. And that's definitely one of the biggest tips I'd recommend focusing on for when you're designing your own original characters. And now tip number 7 kind of connects back to the idea of storytelling through your character, and tip number 7 is pretty much to focus on context. So like context also connects with theme, but what I mean by context is try and focus on what you're trying to convey through your character. Like what type of emotion are you trying to convey? What kind of theme are you trying to convey? Like if a person was just to look at your drawing, would they understand what's going on? And for example, with my drawing, I think it's pretty clear that the guy I drew was like a reindeer guy and that the girl I drew was kind of inspired by Christmas trees. But just make sure you connect it back to your theme and make sure it all just kind of comes together and makes sense in the end. But in all honesty, I don't think the characters I designed for this specific video are the best examples of context. But if you're designing characters in a comic-like setting and adding text and stuff, that would definitely help to just kind of add that sense of context and kind of tell a story. And tip number 8 is to pay attention to those small details. And I know it can become frustrating to pay attention to details because in the end, like it just feels like who's going to pay attention to details? Like nobody cares about them, right? But those small details can make a big difference in the long run. Like for example, my choice of adding a star on the first character's head, that kind of does make a difference, and just like adding the bow as well and even the little sparkles, it all just kind of comes together in the end to kind of represent the context and theme of the character and what they like are based off. And again, just these small things can make a really big difference, so make sure you kind of pay attention to those small details and of course have fun along the way. Alright, almost near the end, and with that, tip number 9 is to explore. Now one of the best ways to design more interesting characters as you progress through your art journey is to explore different things, is to explore different like expressions, poses, outfits, different ways you can incorporate ideas into your character's designs. Just be wild, try new stuff, and honestly that's the best way to go about it. Like I was so nervous when I was adding lights on this reindeer character because it's not something I've seen anyone do traditionally before, and I was super scared about how I was gonna like make it work out in the end. But I just went for it. I just decided to go ahead and try and see how it went, and I am not too mad with how it turned out. I was also really nervous about the scarf color, and I really played around with that a lot, as well as the color of his pants as well. But you know what? Just explore and experiment, have fun, and you will create something you love, trust me. And last but not least, my 10th tip for you guys when you're designing characters is to make it weird. And you might be wondering why I just said that, but trust me, like making your characters weird just gives you that chance to explore, to experiment, to have fun with your art and create something that's unique and special to you. Like I was being weird throughout all these drawings because I mean, come on, do any of these drawings really look that Christmassy? They all look weird in their own way, but that's exactly why I love them. And I really just want you guys to make your drawings as weird as you can, add things no one has ever added before, and make it unique and special to you. Anyways guys, that's all the tips I have for you guys today for when you're designing characters. I hope these tips might have helped you out, and let me know which tip was your favorite in the comments below. Other than that, have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you guys. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video. So until then, have an amazing day and stay awesome as always. Bye!